This episode of Speakers of Eidolon is made possible by our generous patrons, like Scry de la Rosa, Omega Cat Comets, Ray Cypher, Hans Grenade, Anna Ginterrace, Bob Zizi, Faris Gentoru, Cletus Oreo, Lucaliana Trell, Sapa Chakwatol, Courtney, Melia Algriam, Ariana Barrackhill, Elim, Casey Schaefer, Lily Black, Chaitan, Chesha Saltiri, Ariel, Erisu Yamakawa, Cecilia Fulalirifu, Daimos, Jamie Asur, Asuta Starbreeze, Umbral Wind, Quick Levin, Gamelord Geek, Sayuri Snowfall, Ignal the Dragon, and Freya Subaki. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/SpeakersXIV. Thank you.
This is Speakers of Eidolon.
Good evening, Eorzeans. Welcome to Speakers of Eidolon, episode 136. I'm Lakeel Bravestone, and I'm joined today by Rollo Des and Male Viera. Hello. Today's episode is going to be a 50-50 split between patch 4.56 and the Yoshi-P interviews that we got in the wake of FanFest. Because they answer a lot of questions that we were sort of left with after FanFest. So the two ones we're going to look at is one from GameWatch and one from Mr. Happy. Both of them have really good answers that we need to address.
We tackled some stuff.
Yes.
I'm curious about, so look forward to that.
Yeah. But before we do anything, it's time for recent events.
Ooh.
EU server split is imminent. It is happening tomorrow. Well, technically on Tuesday, but there is maintenance tomorrow. We'll talk about that a little later.
Hours.
It's a 24-hour one, so one whole day for Europeans not to play. I can
Go outside, have fun, play in the grass.
Yeah. Play in the grass. Go outside. Meet. Don't meet people. Who needs people? You can pick up a snail.
Play Pokemon Go.
Bring it home. Go to sleep. Wake up the next day. Snail's missing. Did I eat it? Did it crawl out? Who knows? They posted an official post on the Lodestone regarding this, and I'm just going to read it because it's got some information that you might find. You might need to know this. The maintenance schedule and the free world transfer period associated with the upcoming expansion of the European data center has been finalized. In addition, we would like to share several important points regarding cross-world features that will be affected due to the redistribution of worlds. So here are some accommodations related to the data center expansion. Free world transfers for characters. I've had a tough week. reading.
All the fucking battery fresh you drink, dude. I swear. It's going to give you an aneurysm or something.
Free world transfers for characters on the European Data Center Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019 after maintenance through Wednesday, April 17th at 3 a.m. GMT, 4 a.m. BST. It's really confusing because on the European Lodestone they use a 24-hour clock, but sometimes I swear they use a 12-hour clock as well. So
you guys use the 12-hour clock in Europe?
Mainland Europe use 24-hour clocks, I believe, and I think Britain is the odd one out. Or they use both. I don't know.
It's weird.
Britain just picks and chooses. Like they're like, we might.
Don't tell me it's 18 o'clock. I don't know what that is.
That's 6 p.m. That's 6 p.m.
That's too confusing for me to think.
I mean,
just tell me it's 6.
Well, then you won't know if it's in the morning. Yeah, but you'd need additional. Yeah. We're not doing this. This is a vault situation. We're not doing it.
Just look outside. It's bright. It's AM, and if it's dark, it's PM.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I mentioned some dates. April 2nd to April 17th. 2019 is when the World Transfer Service will be available free of charge for all characters on the European Data Center. Please note that the World Transfer Service will be temporarily unavailable from Wednesday, April 17th, 2019 to at 3 a.m. GMT, 4 a.m. BST. Oh, they've started with BST here. Due to the expansion of the North American data center. Game time compensation. As the European data center maintenance will exceed 24 hours, we will add 1 day of game time as compensation to all active accounts that have remaining playtime, regardless of account region. So that means NA is also getting an extra day.
An extra day on the... Are we going to get another extra day for the NA servers then?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's... What the... No, it means we're going to get 2 in total, I guess.
Yeah, one day for EU and another extra. So
that makes sense.
2 extra days for your sub, guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
So here are some practical information. So there are some important points regarding world redistribution. So effects on cross-world link shells. When a member of a cross-world link shell moves to a different data center, a cross-world link shell with the same name will be created. If there is only one member in the cross-world link shell, then it will disband after a certain period unless the remaining member invites at least one more player to join. So that's that. If you move to a different data center, cross-world link shell will be made with the same name as the one you were in. Wait, does that happen regardless of if you're the owner? It doesn't specify.
What if there's one with the same name on the other one? Anyway?
Yeah, it does say when a member... Well, that would be the same link shell. Oh god. Will it like merge with like a completely different link shell? Like, oh wait, were you in the link shell? Effects on PvP teams. When a member of a PvP team moves to a different data center, a PvP team with the same name will be created and the player will be removed from the original PvP team. There will be no notification displayed in the activity tab that the player has left the team. So they'll just vanish.
Do a roll call, I guess.
Yeah.
Log in.
Yeah.
If you're doing PvP.
Should the number of players in the PvP team drop below 4, then they will no longer be able to queue for the Feast team ranked match, and the team will not be displayed on the rankings. So basically, what you'd expect, because you can't queue with less than 4. Please note that there may be other minor issues, such as world names not displaying correctly on the contact list due to the data not being saved locally. Maintenance starts on Monday and lasts for 24 hours.
What are we gonna do on Monday?
Well, you can play on NA.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Because the NA servers are still up.
Come join us in Zalera, dude.
Yeah, said no one.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like an American goblin.
Yeah. We'll be performing maintenance on all EU data center worlds in order to accompany the data center expansion. All EU data center worlds will be unavailable during this maintenance. We'll also be performing maintenance on all worlds during the last few hours of this maintenance. So at some point, NA goes down to ensure the data transferred smoothly. Details to be announced in another notice. They did announce that, and I believe it's just the last few hours of the maintenance for the European servers. So the 24-hour maintenance starts at April 1st, 10 a.m. GMT. That's 11 a.m. BST, and lasts until 10 a.m. GMT, or 11 a.m. BST on April 2nd. So that's a full 24-hour maintenance there. So tomorrow's your last day.
Last day to join us for fun time streams. Be there,
and then it will never be the same again.
No, wait.
We'll do something.
Well, yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about now. Because tomorrow we're doing minimum eye level, of course. We're gonna have to try to finish TITAN Extreme. After that, though, we will have like a little gathering. Now we haven't really figured out where we will gather. So the only real, and this is going to trigger a lot of people, but the only large-scale cross-world area right now is Animos. It's accessible to everyone. It's level 70, and everyone can go there if you are level 70, though, on Chaos. It's literally the only place we can get everyone in.
Do some alliance runs with 24
But that's only
people.
24 people.
And you can rotate people out.
How did you fucking... Oh, so be like, oh, thank you, Chimera, my boy. Time to go. Kick my boy. Bye.
No,
Next,
no.
next.
We make a new party
For
and
the
we
trip,
run.
Johnny.
Listen, since it's middle my level day, we can run like I don't know, like
Diadem is Diadem Cross World?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Oh
it's
yeah, we
server.
can also go to the
That's annoying.
hall, can't we? The tournament hall.
Tournament.
Triple triad.
What if I triple triad? What the
It's
fuck?
crossword though.
Is that a single instance or are there multiple ones?
I can't remember.
Mm.
I've never seen enough people in there for me to think there's more than one.
Well, exactly.
We'll figure that out tomorrow, but
Let's do Arbonne middle my level.
I mean-
Some folks, that'd be fun.
No way. Hate that place.
we'll figure it out tomorrow. But if you have any ideas, remember them
Yeah, let us
tomorrow
know.
and let us
Yeah.
know.
Grab nasty.
Yeah. We don't have to do like
Yeah,
a
we can't do
run.
my level.
We don't have to do Eureka. We just have to be there.
We can. It's just to be there, Rollo. It's just to hang out. You don't have to. We're not going to do a relic. Hey guys, it's the last day on cast. Let's make a relic.
What are we just gonna emote at each other? Okay.
Yeah, Rollo. That's exactly what we're doing. It's the last
It's a meet
time.
and greet, guys.
It is a
Come
meet and
on,
greet. It's
we're
the
gonna-
only meet and greet we will ever do, the three of us together. Think about that,
We'll be
Rollo.
handing out
Think about
eggs.
Think about that, Rollo. Think about it. Okay. So there was an interview that we're not going to read through now. This is still recent events. Just wanted to mention this because a lot of people keep bringing it up as a meme. Yoshi-P still talking about the Nintendo Switch, guys. He's still talking about it. In an interview with GameSpot, he talked about like cross-play and stuff. Talking about the PlayStation, the like being able to play with Xbox One, because that's still not happening because now Xbox doesn't want to do cross-platform stuff.
Wasn't that Sony?
It used to be Sony, but now it's the other way around.
Yeah,
Xbox doesn't want to
switched.
play now.
Really?
Yeah, because you can play
Okay.
Fortnite on. I can't believe I said that on this podcast, but you can
Oh
play
my
Fortnite
God.
now
We're
on
derailing.
the Switch and the PlayStation 4 and PC, but you cannot on a PlayStation
I think you
4.
have that back. There you go. Yeah, because you were saying.
Oh, did I say PlayStation 4? I meant Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PC. That's crossplay.
Yes, that's
PS4
crossplay.
does not want to join that.
So it's Sony that doesn't like it.
Sony does not
You're
like it now, but back in the day, it used to be the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The tables just turned. Anyways, here's a quote from that interview from Yoshi-P. Talks with platform holders has been going on. The fundamental philosophy with Final Fantasy XIV is that we wanted to on labels with cross-platform play with any devices, hardware possible. So as long as the regulations with the counterpart hardware companies, we can actually pass that when the possibility, the chance is quite high of Final Fantasy XIV coming to Xbox and Nintendo systems. So we are talking with Nintendo, Microsoft, and Google, of course. We can't say anything at the moment because we're still in negotiations, but once we have details, we can make an announcement so we can bring the news to everyone. We're currently negotiating with all those platforms.
It's definitely gonna come to Xbox.
They really want to push Xbox. But the Switch thing just keeps being brought up, and I don't know if it's just he's just bringing it up just to have it on the table. He also did specify, I believe, later in the interview that if 14 were to go on the Switch, it will not be free to play, because apparently I think people expect it to be like you only need Switch Online, and so the rest.
That was weird.
Yeah, that's not happening.
It would be the same thing for Xbox. You need Xbox Live. To play, probably.
We've talked about it going on the Switch before. What?
I had that wrong. You don't need PlayStation Plus to play 14, right? You just need a subscription to 14.
You would need
it
a
would be the
subscription.
same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing for Xbox. You wouldn't need it. Same thing for Nintendo.
Yeah.
If that ever happens.
The thing with it going on the Switch is we can't deny the fact that it has limited hardware, which means that it would 100% enter the game as the new bottleneck. Probably bottlenecking it from launch. Like it will already be a bottleneck the moment the moment it's ported over. But I also don't understand how it would play on the PS4. Sorry, on the Switch.
Same way you do on PS4 with the pad. I mean, you have the same amount of buttons, pretty much, save for the touchpad.
Yeah, you're right. I guess.
No, yeah. If you count the the plus and minus buttons.
You have
Pretty
more.
much the same amount of buttons.
Oh, you have the same amount. Okay, yeah.
If-
But you can't talk,
I don't
because how do you connect a keyboard to the Switch?
It has a USB inside, doesn't it?
It does have a USB
Yeah.
port
But then
on
you
the
can't use
dock.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, they have the Switch mobile app too, which
Oh,
really
yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
have
Can
your
you
phone.
imagine? You're in a dungeon.
Sorry, I gotta pull
I
my
mean,
phone. To
I
type really
love
move.
the Switch.
Ouch.
Full disclosure, the
Oh.
Switch is awesome,
Hey.
but
Switch is good. It's not.
don't put
an MMO
don't put 14 on it. Put everything else on it. You can put
I really
Skyrim
think-
on it, but don't put 14 on it.
I really think
Put tactics on it.
Because we will be held back graphically and system wise eventually,
Well,
like a lot quicker than with the PS4.
that's the thing. Since it would be held back, like right now, I don't think you could do like a 24-man in Orban on a Switch right now.
It would fucking
No.
explode.
It would chug. And actually, they might be okay with it chugging. There's a lot
11
of
would be
games
good
come
on
out.
it. That's a good point. 11 would actually
Oh
probably work.
yeah, with all those menus.
Oh, that's true. 11 mobile. 11 mobile maybe. Get that on the
11
Switch.
mobile.
You need 11 with like Alexa capability to get through all those menus.
True. Yeah.
It'll be
Oh yeah.
streamed
Let's
up
also
when it
make
comes to Switch.
sure that we again every time I mention the PS4, there's always going to be someone who just hear me talking about PS4 and think that I'm saying that it's a bottleneck. It's not. The disclosure once again: the PS4 is not holding the game back. Okay, the
It is
PS3 did, not the 4.
But it may do one day.
One day it will, but that's just
Yeah.
life. Okay. Right. So we're. Let's just hope it's not happening.
Can't
I'd be
wait.
fine with it happening. It probably will, honestly.
Yeah. Right. 4.56. It happened. It's over.
Yeah.
Finally happened, yeah.
It's Stormblood's over, save for some events and some minor patches. It's
Story-wise, it's done. The final
That's
chapter
it.
has been laid to rest.
So we're gonna discuss some of the story right now. So if you haven't done 4.56, first of all, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Second of all, you might wanna not listen to this. Let's make a hand signal.
okay.
Make
It'll be
a
like
cool
15
one, though.
minutes.
Don't do like a lame one.
I'll do whoa.
That's
You
good.
do-
I like that.
Yeah,
JoJo
I'll do a
poses.
full like whoa.
Can you do like the V over your eyes like a pop star? Like whoosh.
a V over my eyes?
You know, like V for victory, but do it like going across your eyes.
Across
No.
like like this?
Yeah, like that.
that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
okay.
pop star.
Yeah, like a pop star.
What the? When are you from? Are you a time traveler from the 60s?
What are you? A
I've heard about
beetlehead?
these pop stars.
Big
Okay.
spoilers. Big
Big
spoilers.
spoil. Here's the
everything.
gong of spoilers, and you'll get the buzzer too. So just wake everyone up. This is the buzzer of spoilers.
If you're in the kitchen, run. I want to hear those cheeks clap while
Yeah.
you are running. To
Yeah,
the-
run. Okay. Okay. So I'll do this and then this.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, that's
There you go.
pop star.
Okay.
Pop star.
Big spoils.
Okay, so the story sort of starts where it last ended in the Rising Stones and Hoary Boulder. And we're basically just kind of thrown back into the Gimlet Dark story, basically.
Yeah.
They sort of, the thing that confused me initially with that was that we ended with Kryl returning, right?
Well, I'm sure she was in promotional material at least.
Oh no, wait, she came back and she did the Matoya thing. That's what
Oh yeah.
we were doing. I forgot. That's how it started, the last one, right? Well, so I was on Matoya watch for the whole MSQ. She did not show up. I expected her to be, part of this. But we'll talk more about like the length of this MSQ at the end. We get thrown into Gimlet Dark. There's immediately like you get to the Alliance headquarters, and there is a part where I guess. I mean, it's weird. It was kind of weird because I kind of forgot that we were at war, that was a
Yeah.
thing, and then but the war is, very much still happening, and we go
Not
in.
important though.
No.
Not important.
Then we get into like a duty, and we get to roleplay as Hien, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Although you only have 3 skills.
You could have at least put like one samurai combo in there, not
Yeah.
just the one.
But it was
Give me,
what it was.
it's whatever. Yeah.
It was also cool that we got a little bar that told us like how far away our character was, because we were like on our
Yeah.
way.
That was nice.
And then of course they get fucked. And then we come to the rescue. Surprise.
Like that Lise punch? That was really cool.
That was
shot.
cool. That was the only time I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, Lise. That was the only time I felt like she really did it.
But it was really a cool shot though, wasn't it? Like, because she takes the punch and then like he throws his head back.
Yeah.
On his eye.
Yeah.
It's really like, oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was much cooler from a Xenos point of view. He looked so angry.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was furious.
Yeah.
He decimated her.
He did-
Are they okay, by the way?
Who knows?
They're dead.
They don't really follow up on if
No.
they're okay.
No.
They just say, yeah, everyone is okay, I guess.
It's so strange because it's like I don't know. We'll talk about how I think it just felt like they were brushing over things very quickly in the story. Like that just happened and we don't hear anything about them after that. But and then you defeat Xenos, but of course it's pointless because he's an Asian, so he comes back up, and he boops you, and then you fade out, and then you fade in, and this is the best part. You wake up in Ishgard. What?
You skipped the part where you.
You skipped the main part.
Oh fuck! I skipped the
Yeah,
call.
you skipped-
I just want to talk about Ishgard. Sorry.
You're fighting him, and in the
Yes,
middle of the
yes.
fight, you get called. And
Sorry,
then
I
Xenos
missed
is
the
about to-
main point.
And then Xenos is about to fucking murder you.
Yeah. Also, the call happens. No. Yeah, you get called. You actually get called. Well, you're talking to Raubon first. That's when you get called the first time.
Briefly.
Yeah. And
Very
then
desperate at that point too.
yeah, well, he's the most desperate. Yeah, that's when he's like, why won't they open, or why won't you open, or whatever.
Yeah.
And the second time you get fully, like, you actually get to see everything, and you see this little platform that we saw in the trailer. And of course we all know, because I don't know if you knew this, but we kind of called it. So we kind of knew. But there he was.
Asshole. How does anyone watch us? I swear. I get tired of these motherfuckers.
The Graha is there, and you can't tell me it's not Graha. That is
That's
100
Graha.
million
Yeah.
percent Graha.
It's
Literally,
impossible to deny
who
it.
else is in Crystal Tower right now?
Yeah.
Raha 2?
Yeah. He's got a very crusty arm.
Oh yeah. It's okay in game.
It looks
A bit muddied.
not quite as transparent as I would expect it to. Like, it didn't have the shine from the trailer.
No.
The
And they've got crystals in this game, so
yeah.
they've already been able to do a crystal look.
Yeah. He now I can't remember what he even told us.
He tells you, he asks you something first, and you can say,
Oh yeah,
please take me back, or who are you?
Right.
I said, "Who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
Even though I knew.
I said take me back because I was in the middle of a fight, dude. Don't don't do
So
that.
that's interesting. I didn't care anything about the fight. I just wanted to like know more about what's happening here. I'm like, I don't care. This fucking Gimlet
No,
Dark old hat.
I wanna.
Get me into.
I'm doing Garlean stuff right now. Come on.
He mentioned, I've left something for you at the base of the Crystal Tower. Go
Yeah.
pick it up.
Everything else, I will do the rest. You just pick that up.
Yeah, basically.
And
And then
he
he
says, "Then the path to the first will be yours." To
Yeah.
walk,
And
or whatever.
he tells you too that this war doesn't fucking matter.
right,
literally.
Yeah.
it's pointless. Win or
it's
lose,
literally-
it doesn't matter.
And that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
disappointing.
Well, it kind of explains why. It kind of makes sense because the balance is probably so off right now that it doesn't
Oh
matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense, but it's like I was.
In the grand scheme of the world, this war is nothing, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like it was almost implied that you had to have watched FanFest for this patch to make sense.
That's what I'm saying. I
one
think
line was then the path to the first one, and you're like, that's just skipped over. And then if you don't know what he's on about,
well, I think the MSQ, the way they revealed the trailer before the MSQ, I feel like you're supposed to have seen the trailer before doing them.
what if you haven't?
Well, if you haven't, then it's kind of more of a mystery to you, I suppose. It'll be more like, what does that mean? The first.
I feel like I would have just been annoyed.
Yeah,
I would be like, yeah, okay, Garlean stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, something about a first? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, that will be explained
You've
in
got to
Shadowbringers.
consume all 14 media.
No, you don't. But you'll be like left in like a theory. Then you can theory craft for yourself if you're this like detached from the rest of the community. Been there, done that. Like 2-3 weeks ago, before this came out. So
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
So with that, the pivot to the Crystal Tower is complete. Like it's done.
Very sudden.
Very abrupt. And then just to add an extra layer of confusion to it, you wake up in Ishgard.
I love.
And I'm like, oh my god, I'm home. And then Edmont. No, not Edmont. Emmerich first.
Emmerich sees you first.
Emmerich comes in.
Some little girl does, and then
Yeah.
How are you?
How are you, my friend?
My champion.
Basically tells you that someone came and rescued us.
Someone saved you.
And who else?
The worst story writing ever.
And who else but Estinian? Why?
Is like Estinian just stalking us?
I think he is. He's our little stalker.
He just wants to be like, ooh, it's my little baby boy, okay? Take you back home.
Yeah. I love Estinian, but it's like, why he doesn't have a story arc right now? What is he doing?
I don't know.
His arc
Dragoon quests though next.
Oh yeah,
surely.
He shows up in the Dragoon quest, right?
Yeah, but he'll have to continue in those, won't he?
Yeah, he will, because he's kind of a big deal there.
So he just blew up the castrum, and he was there for the Dragoon quest, and then he just kind of pieced out.
Yeah,
and then he came back.
Do you think he'll play a part in Shadowbringers then? Surely he must. They're setting him up so you'll remember him.
There's so many characters that I'm wondering that, because like, what's gonna happen to Fordola? I mean, I know she had her own side story thing on the thing.
She'll become a weekly delivery NPC, whatever that's called. Custom delivery.
That'd be sad, because she didn't go anywhere. Nothing happened to her. She got in jail, and that was it. And then she felt sad for being in jail.
She's been written off. She's been like she's
gone, Rollo. She was cool. She's gone.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
She was cool.
I know.
She was more interesting than some of us.
Yeah.
And then it's like, who else? Even Xenos himself.
Yeah.
Original
Custom
Xenos.
Delivery.
No, because he comes at the very end, as his elf boy, and he kills him.
Well, okay, yeah, he does come.
Retirement for all of them.
Oh, sorry, I was getting ahead of it.
Yeah, that's like the absolute end of it. So you learn that, and then he's like, yeah, you're good, you can go. Whatever. There's like some sweet talk there. You can ask what's happened to.
Who cares about Emmerich? It's who comes afterwards that tugs on your heartstrings.
That's true. As much as I love Emmerich, when I saw Edmont, I
was happy.
I was very happy. He's like the dad. He's like the 14 dad.
Nothing makes you feel more at home than House Photon.
The
Ishgard Defense Force.
No, not even Ishgard.
How can you?
But the fact that Edmond, that storyline bit.
That's the story of Edmond is tragic.
I just think it's funny.
Yeah,
he sort of adopted us to replace Horschiffon, really.
Kind of, yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah, and.
Calm down about Emmerich. He's fine as well.
Emmerich is fine. I was sad he didn't sit in my bed.
We did skip over Maxima at the start and talking to Sid too.
Oh yeah, there's that as well.
He's like, I've got someone to introduce you to.
He does actually drop some important stuff because he says there's chaos in the Imperial Court.
That's true.
So Garlemald is sort of kind of breaking at the seams a little bit. It seems like it's not.
Apparently, a lot of people were really Sid was ruined for them for some reason, but I can't think why.
Well, why?
I
Why?
don't know. People were saying watching this stream ruined Sid for them.
Oh, because of the voice thing for.
I don't know.
right.
It's pretty good voice acting, so.
Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, so Maxima tells us that there's chaos in Garlemald. Well, specifically the Imperial Court. It doesn't mean it is spread. Well, yeah, he said unrest in the provinces too. All the provinces are now in unrest because of everything that's going down. So fast forward again to we're talking to Edmond. I can't even remember what he said, but it was so nice. It was so sweet to be back. And he said, if you could stay here, I would let you, but you have to move on. You have to do other things.
He's like, I know you won't stay even if I ask.
Yeah.
Just get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just walking along. No, you weren't. You came to find us.
Yeah. And then you report back to Hoary Boulder, I think, and that's when he's like, no. He says a message has been left to you. That someone told you you're not alone or whatever, and then you go back to Remnant's Toll and the Rising Stones, and it's Tataru probably that sent that message, and she's doing a little cry, and
big anime tears,
and she's got a sad speech or whatever, and then they say that they will go look for it, the thing at the base of the tower.
I thought we would have at least found
Graham left that for me, not for you.
He told me that was my Uber Eats.
Yeah.
He sent me the chicken nuggets.
So, I don't know.
We're way too open with the information we know.
Yeah.
It's like, hi Tataru, so I got called and Grahatir was there and he's left something.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll go and find it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then
Tataru tells stuff though, and she's like, "Oh, you're not alone." And all our friends are like, "Oh, we love you."
Yeah, yeah.
And then she gives us really edgy clothes out of nowhere.
She gives us edgy clothes. Can I just say that the headpiece is so disturbing?
It is.
Yeah,
it's like they've taken a face and sewn a face onto it, and it's like
a weird mask.
Yeah,
it's like a death mask with bars over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would Tataru make that for us?
I don't know. She's entered her
mind.
edgy face. She's been hanging out at Hot Topic for too long now, I think.
Hot Topic.
So that's when it fades to black and we get the credits. And that's a very confusing moment because you feel like, okay, we're going to go get the thing. And that's probably where it's going to end. We're going to get we're gonna realize what this beacon thing is, and that's sort of the end. But instead, it just fades out in the Rising Stones, and you get to see some nice artwork, which, as far as I understand, is like fan art. It's not official art. Well, it is now because it's in the credits, I guess. But it's
were they not in the art books at least?
I don't know. I got conflicting information about that, and I couldn't really trace what it is. Official? Okay, it is official.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. When I was doing doing it on stream, I got conflicting.
They were in the art book. Okay.
They were in the art book. Okay. Correction. It's official art. Very nice art.
Yeah.
And then it fades out, and then we're back. I believe we get to see. That's when we see Ellison Xenos.
Yeah.
He's just in the Gimlet Dark, and it's like too late or whatever. Did he say that? I'm too late? Did he say something?
He said, my friend, my enemy, would that I were but a few steps faster or something like that.
Right, that's what he said. He said the friend thing, guys.
He's our best friend. And he's like, get strong or something.
Because he possessed a body. Just a random...
Why can he possess people?
We've talked about this before. I feel like we've discussed this. Isn't it because he had this echo shit and that he...
Oh yeah, they did that echo experiment.
Yeah.
Faco.
Faco,
yeah. And he attacks the Garlean soldier. I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything. No, he just couldn't be bothered to talk to him.
It was just...
It's just like...
He's just showing how strong he doesn't care about Garleans.
No, well, that's what I'm... Yeah, he doesn't care.
He's never really cared about them.
No, that's right. And that's pretty much all we really see of him there. But it's just like another, reminder that he's still in the game. And at the very end, we get a very strange shot. A close-up of some textures that are clearly never meant to be seen close-up of Crystal on the ground.
Oh boy!
And us standing in front of the Crystal Tower. Now, apparently that's because it's like an out-of-bounds area, but...
Yeah.
That's not an excuse.
Could have freshened it up a little bit for that. But
Yeah.
you could have just taken an existing crystal texture and put it there. But I don't know.
would think like the main centerpiece of the expansion, or one of them, would be
Yeah.
they might have that model
Updated.
somewhat ready for Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get the
Just short.
meanwhile in the Imperial capital.
Then we get that, and that
Although that might have been before.
that
I
might
can't
have actually
remember.
been that might have been before the credits. I can't remember.
But he
It doesn't
basically-
it doesn't matter. It's all
Asian Xenos comes back, and Varys, Solus.
Asking Xenos come back, and he's
Asian
like,
Xenos,
"Hey,
is it Solus
we're-"
or Varys? I can never remember.
Varys.
And he
And
asks,
he's like, "Hey, where's Solus?"
yeah, and then the other one's like, oh, he must have found a way to enjoy it. But then he turns around.
No, well, he
And has-
reacts to a question, right? About
quite a lot of-
Doesn't he mention Black Rose?
That's afterwards.
Oh, God.
After the scientist comes up, he's like, we have Black Rose ready, sir."
Yes.
Xenos comes up. Varys is like, he said, why did you call me back? Or why did you withdraw? And then Varys says, there's rumors of my son being possessed by a demon, blah, 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 blah. Then he asks, where is Solus? And Varys is like, oh, doing whatever Asians do, I don't know. Men are not pawns to be played with. And then he walks off. And then the scientist comes, says we're ready to do Black Rose again. He's like, brilliant. Turns around and then does some like weird creepy
Very
smile.
scary face.
Yeah. So
After
Black
he's like,
Rose is happening in Shadow.
Black Rose is happening.
It doesn't matter though.
I thought-
Remember, they told us it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Right. That's that. What do you think about the story? Short?
Too short.
Oh,
For the time
just
it
for this
took to
part?
get us there.
Well, this part. This is all the story.
Yeah,
Oh no! Yeah, the
4.56.
story quest 4.56.
The two
Yeah, okay.
quests.
This was the worst lead up to any expansion. Honestly,
I would agree.
it was. It's
but I
okay.
think it's going to be such a good expansion, it may be redeemed. But yeah, I agree because it doesn't really set the scene.
I don't know. I don't feel like, because we just left on something like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look for something,
Yeah,
and that's kind of it.
we're gonna look for something, but I'm actually not gonna look for it. Someone else is gonna look for it
We're
while
gonna
I
look for it
just
for you.
stand by. That's where we left off. But we left off also at the ominous Black Rose thing, which is odd because, again, if they were going to use the trailer as sort of like a primer for this MSQ, then we have no idea what's going to happen on the source. Like, there's no information about... Do you think they're intentionally, like, muddling so we don't know what's going to happen here, I guess?
I guess.
I guess they want to play their hand close to the chest on this one.
Are we just going to come back to Hydaelyn that's completely ravaged by Black Rose? It's just going to be Eorzea fucking decimated?
Is that gonna be 6 points? Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
6
it would have
points.
to be.
No, well, no. At some point, we're going to need the quest story, right? So I'm sure
the whole expansion
this-
is taking place on the first.
No.
I
I refuse-
Is it gonna be
Myla.
back and forth? Because that's even.
Remember? Do you not remember the other expansions? You have an expansion story, which in Heavensward was
You mean the post stuff?
Yeah, you had the Dragon Song War, which was the expansion story for Heavensward, and there's the post Dragon Song War, which is like
Possibly
Point
the post
three
will come
amount.
back then, yeah.
yeah,
But I think the expansion story is going to be entirely first.
yeah.
But
It-
it's weird because they put so much effort into. They've changed quest dialogue for like 20 NPCs all around the world that you wouldn't
Yeah.
even know about.
Yeah.
unless you
All the
visit.
guild masters have changed their. I think
Yeah.
almost all of the guild masters for crafting, anyways,
Yeah.
have a different
And
dialogue
most
now.
of the classes.
And most of
With
the
black
classes.
mage one, the white mage one.
True, that's true. So.
I'm really excited for Shadowbringers, though. Don't get me wrong.
am.
It's
Oh, I'm
just,
super excited.
Oh,
for it.
because the trailer is more hype than the end of the MSQ, though.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
It's like needed viewing.
yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and also, if you combine the other MSQ with this MSQ, it's still not a very long, like the parts, because remember, this is part 2 of the last MSQ. It's not very long, is it? Because the first part was short and the last part was short. It's just basically a normal MSQ length cut in half. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
like,
not cut in
I
half
don't
because it's so big. It's just a regular like patch MSQ.
Did we ever get the warning that like there's about to be a long series?
Yeah,
of
you do.
cutscenes?
You do. You do
You
get
do?
it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure because it didn't feel that long compared to.
They weren't that long.
No.
There was a couple in sequence.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, like compared to Balasar's Wall and what was the last dungeon?
Of Faith.
Was it
No,
Steps of Faith
no
last?
Shinryu. No
What do you
way.
mean Stormblood?
Wait, what was the last part of Heavensward?
Oh,
The last
Heavensward,
part
it
of
was closed
Heavensward
Nidhogg
was
and then
Belsar's Wall. No, that was the
Belsar's Wall.
well, that was in the story patch. That was the
Well,
content patch.
I mean, like the
Oh,
like
it was
the lead up to the
Ether-Chemical,
end.
Etherochemical Research Facility. It was the story one.
Huh? Really? No, Etherochemical was the last of the.
Yeah, the expansion one, and then the patch one was Belsar's Wall.
Yeah, it was the
Wasn't it?
Griffin. We had all this lead up to the
Yeah,
Griffin and stuff.
There was the
Yeah.
Griffin.
Yeah, the summoning
no,
of
it-
Shinryu, the death of
The
Papa.
Shinryu versus Omega thing.
Yeah,
too?
that was.
really.
I think that
That
was the
was
tail end. That was the end of
Yeah.
Heavensward. Yeah, and it really set the stage for Stormblood. Here it does not, and I wonder if that's just because they want it to be mysterious. They just want because for 14 this concept is so alien. Like the fact that we're actually gonna go to like an alternate universe, kind of. Is it? They didn't think. I don't know. It's such a weird. I have to say I didn't like the.
We should
how
have
they
at
set
least
it
gone
up.
to the tower.
Yeah.
I would say if you had
At
like,
least
if
get
we
us
had
to
gone-
the gates so we kind of get the idea. Like right now, it's just like I dropped something at the base of the tower, and we don't even get to see what it is.
Yeah, like if we could
Yeah.
have gone to the tower and like looked through the gate for like a little bit and be like, oh, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Or something like
Or
that.
like the
I was
gate, like
yeah.
having a glow. Like something's wrong with the tower.
Yeah, and there's nothing changed in the overworld either. Like,
No,
there's no
no.
crystal towers
Yeah.
like glowing
Make
or
the
anything.
moon do something.
Yeah.
Make the crystal tower glow.
Mhm.
More than
Yeah,
it is.
it's just. I mean, these are minor things, sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just. I feel like there's no tease, like Windwolf says. There's
Yeah.
no tease.
It's the same ending as the first part of the MSQ. Remember how that ended with the cliffhanger? Was just Xenos walking towards the camera, which we
Yeah.
already knew was going to happen. It's the same thing
Yeah.
here. We already knew we were going to stand and look at the crystal tower because it was in the trailer. So
Yeah.
it's a little strange. I'm still hyped for Shadowbringers because we know what we're getting. Like we're going to like it's an absurd idea that we're going. We get to see alternate universe Limsa,
The fat cats.
the fat cats.
We get
And
to
that
see what
one
Eorzea
place-
would be like if we hadn't done any of the bad stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
basically.
We get to see what was that place's name again? The new city?
Rapture.
No,
Rapture.
no, the
Crystarium.
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 Crystarium. Okay, yeah, we're going to see Crystarium.
Kind of makes me wish we could go to alternate void version of everything rather than just World of Darkness. Imagine the Shroud.
Yeah,
Oh.
Evil Shroud. The spirits are
Shroud.
angry that you're
I mean,
not here.
it would just be 1.0 Shroud, wouldn't
Yeah, but even harder.
it? Right. So with
Bit of a
what?
week ending.
Yeah, week
ending,
ending.
as I would
Week
say.
ending. Now with Stormblood now being over, I don't even know if we have time. We have to do a really quick,
Really quick.
review of Stormblood. We can have a
So
more
it's-
in-depth one.
Splicing that conversation we had on Friday. Was it Friday?
Yeah,
just
we
Splice-
sure had a
splice that in.
conversation about that.
I'll talk about the flying buttresses.
Oh, for God's sake.
So, how do you even review Shadow? No, sorry, I keep saying I am so ready for Shadowbringers that
You-
Stormblood is just it's gone. I'm over.
Different
it.
S sound. Different S sound.
Stormblood. I even wrote Shadowbringers in the show notes. It's very bad. How do you feel about the MSQ then? Now that the MSQ has been laid to rest, how do you feel about the story of Stormblood now that it's all over? We have the full story now.
Everything, like the original launch and patches,
Yes.
right?
Stormblood.
I liked it a lot. There were some really weak points and some stuff that left unresolved. But overall, a very good MSQ and my favorite so far.
Okay. Well, there's probably no surprise that I disagree. I found Stormblood's story to be weirdly paced, jumping around a lot, stuff that didn't really get resolved in a satisfying way, but I think the ending to it sort of was the final like cherry on top for me. It was like, okay, you even ended on a weak note. Like, it had good points, don't get me wrong. The initial part of Stormblood was pretty hype. I loved the story there. There was too much of the like jumping around between vastly like different storylines that it was hard to like care about everything that was happening because there was so much of it. So you sort of had to like pick. It's like I did. I was like, okay, I'm gonna invest a little bit more in the Alan Megan story, which was a bad move because that's the storyline we get the least of. But it was, I don't know. I just preferred. I mean, I wouldn't say I preferred A Realm Reborn's because at the end there, level 50, that was a bit rough. But Heavensward, I feel like, had a better. Things were resolved in a more satisfying way than the Stormblood. Where there was more at risk. I felt like the plot armor was extra thick in Stormblood, whereas in Heavensward, I keep want to say Shadowbringers, Heavensward, it was very like a lot of people just died, and they would die like randomly. You'd like, oh, there's no way no one's gonna die. Oh, okay, I guess you're dead. Bye, Ysayle. Didn't expect that to happen while we're entering Asisla. Bye-bye. Of course, we can't forget Horsefant. Like, there were some moments that are so iconic in Heavensward that still linger to this day. Let's not forget that Gazetsu had a fake out. Both of them, by the way, Yotsuyu and Gazetsu both survived. And let's not also Xenos. Like, plot armor was so heavy. No one, there was no risk. And it was strange because we had sort of been conditioned at that point because we'd had Heavensward. We're like, oh my god, fucking Gazetsu's dead, and we went through the grief. And then it's like, he's back, and like, what the fuck?
Well, Yotsuyu does end up dying
eventually, but she as a fucking primal. But it's like, it's not the same.
A pretty cool way to go out.
No, because they did. What? They tried they went the redemption. Like it got a little. She was
not redeemed.
She was not redeemed, but there was like she had bad parents, and there was she had a bad brother. Oh, everything was bad. She was a whore, like a prostitute. Sorry, she was a prostitute.
She was a slut.
She was a slut. Sorry, it's the same word in Norwegian. Yeah. In Heavensward, it was like he's shot, he's dead, gone out from the story.
A little laser beam killed him, really?
Yeah, but yeah, it went through his shield, Rollo, and through his body. One death happened that was very satisfying, and that was Asahi. That was a nice death that he died.
That was fun.
She killed him. That was nice.
I liked having a character to hate.
Yeah, that was a good moment. I'll give it that. That was nice.
He was a fun rival.
Yeah, he was an okay character. He was if not a little too cartoonish sometimes. He a little too animated.
I liked how he gets in your face though. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna tell him? You're gonna tell him?"
Yeah,
I love that. He was so cocky.
Yeah,
he had no reason to be, but
yeah. Heavensward was more serious and unique, whereas Stormblood was way too anime. There you go. That sort of sums it up a little bit.
What does that mean, anime? I never understood that.
It wasn't as serious. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Heavensward was like dark and a little bit gritty. It was very like death and sadness and people been suffering. Remember there were like flashbacks to people who had lost people in the fucking war and they were crying, and there was just very dark and depressing storyline.
I mean,
it should have been the same in Stormblood, but it was always like punctuated by some comic relief character, or there was just some, but let's go down and eat some mochi balls. Like, there was always something weird, like, let's wash Gazetsu, because that's the scene we need. Let's watch you wash Gazetsu. I'm just saying, I liked Stormblood for what it was, but to me, Heavensward was more of a real, like a more better paced story with more better stuff. Felt more, it was more satisfying when it was over. Milo.
Okay.
Yes. I think for me, Stormblood was very dissatisfying. Like, it introduced a lot of good things for me. It introduced probably my favorite villain in Xenos, who had a fantastic ending and was then ruined by being brought back, and he's now part of this whole Asian thing. It had one of my favorite characters, Gosetsu, who again died, came back, died, came back, died, came back.
He wants the real warrior stuff. Well, he's a monk now. Never mind.
Yeah.
It was disjointed. It had some very weird stuff, like the first time you go to Othard, you have to get trapped in Siren Song Cove and do a dungeon. But then after that, it's like everyone can go there.
Yeah.
Everyone just is sailing back and forth.
Yeah.
Loads of story arcs got tied up in very weird ways. Fordola was like this brainwashed, hates everyone, and now she's like, I was just, I was so misinformed. I'm now a good girl. I still try and be, cool and stuff, but I'm so good girl now. And Yahtzee was a maniac, and she was so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little pretty girl. Boring ways to end these characters.
Yeah.
Whereas I agree with Heavensward. When people died, they died.
Yeah. Also, just to clarify, doesn't mean that because there's death makes it better. It's that when you first allude to them dying, at least kill them. Don't be like, oh, woe is me, he's dead. And like, oh, hello, I survived through magic. Like that, that's cheap to me. That means you're afraid.
Well, you can
to
have
kill
cheap
them
deaths too. Like, I felt like Miss Sales especially was very like.
She did. Yeah, I mean, her death wasn't very spectacular. I didn't expect her to die there.
Not spectacular. It's like, why did she have to die again? Was this really necessary?
Didn't she down that airship? She damaged the airship at least.
Like she was defending us, and that, like, I get that, but it's like losing her as a character and killing her, I don't feel like that was satisfying.
I thought it was pretty nice. She did it to. She came on drag, like there was some symbolism in there that was pretty nice for her character.
Wouldn't you say that her just like getting better with Tresvelgar or whatever is just, that's also kind of cheap? Because like when you leave, they're opposed, They're like, hey, you're not my fucking wife. What are you? What the fuck? I hate her. Get out of here. And then you leave, and then, or I think you ask him for help. I forgot how it went. But then you come back, and then it's like, Tresvelgar is helping me now, and I'm gonna die. Bye. Yeah. Like, I felt that was pretty.
Well, remember that she was with you from the beginning of Heavensward.
Yeah. Didn't she? Yeah. Quickloan saying something. Some of it was like off game that we didn't see off screen, I guess.
Well, if it's not in game,
yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sure that it adds to it, but
at least she remained dead, never came back, except for like a flashback as a ghost for when we throw the ice over the bridge. It doesn't matter then in that case, because at least if she had like died there, we're like, oh my god, that's the most random fucking death ever. And she's like, okay, no, back bitches. Shiva here saved me. Hello, what's up, Resvelger? And then she's like, I'm gonna go off now and grow corn. I'm gonna be a farmer. And then she's off. That's how Stormblood would have ended her. I'm gonna live my life as a farmer with Rustvelger. See you later.
Though honestly, if you take out the fake out deaths from Stormblood, I think it's pretty satisfying overall. Save for the ending.
Yeah.
Because like if they had just shown like Gosetsu and Yotsuyu being like washed away in Doma Castle instead of just the thing collapsing and you leaving them, I'd be like, okay, they're lost. Something will happen later, maybe. That I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
You know what, Rollo? I'll tell you what the real deal is here. Okay, this is why I don't like Stormblood's MSQ.
You don't like weebs.
No, it's not anything to do with that. It's the fact that I was very hyped for Stormblood. I took 2 weeks off work, and then Raoban X happened.
Well, the fact Mila got very pissy about Raoban X, and to be fair, that's all on him.
Listen,
I recovered a day after.
Okay?
Yeah.
When I was working at a bank, I took off work. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play expansion.
Yeah.
I didn't get to play anything.
For some reason, that soured everything for Mila, by the way, for like months. Like
I didn't like that bit.
He's like, can't believe that I spent a whole day standing in line, the queue.
He did that.
Line works. Get in line.
Yeah, the queue works, by the way.
The queue does work.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it between a realm. Actually, but I kind of liked.
I put it below A Realm Reborn.
Mm-hmm.
A Realm Reborn was a fantastic introduction.
The end
to
of
the game,
end of A Realm Reborn is great, even though it
I'd
never.
put A Realm Reborn at the bottom.
I would maybe even. I would push A Realm Reborn very highly.
The shock of the end of A Realm Reborn pulled up, almost erased all of that dead time in between. Because it was so shocking, and it was such a long part as well. Like, those cutscenes are like an hour or so long.
Yeah.
I remember actually, like, I played it through once. Lonigan hadn't seen this, by the way, a long time ago. Lonigan was on the podcast. And I said, we have to watch the MSQ together. And we would, like, fucking pop popcorn and connect my computer to the TV. And we'd watch it like a fucking movie. That's how great that ending was. Yeah. Never felt that way with anything after that, because they did say they wanted to not do that again, because a lot of people complained. Fuck you, by the way. Fuck
you. Make it long. I like it.
Look at what you did to Stormblood, huh? Do you like how that ended? Is it too long for you now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the games are bad. Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and then at the top is Stormblood.
Yeah. Okay. Mine is. I think I'm gonna go. A Realm Reborn A Realm Reborn Stormblood Heavensward. No, I don't see.
Really? A Realm Reborn so high up.
Stormblood higher than Heavensward?
What is the order I just gave?
Best to worst.
Oh, sorry. So I
did worst to best. Sorry.
Yeah, I should start at worst to best. That's what I'm doing.
Worst to best then. Okay.
So. No, see, Stormblood has a lot of good stuff that you didn't get in A Realm Reborn.
This is MSQ only.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about like the only there's so much happening in A Realm Reborn as well.
It sets the scene for the entire game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna put Stormblood at the bottom, but only just.
Wow.
Stormblood, Realm Reborn, Heavensward on top. I think that's gonna be my okay. We really actually kind of have to move on, but so.
Male, what's yours really quick? Give us your order.
Oh yeah, did you give your order? I thought you did.
Oh, just same as Lucio's.
Oh okay.
Oh, worst to best. Okay.
Stormblood, then Realm Reborn, then Heavensward.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, here we are.
That's our official stance.
But we're still friends.
Yeah. Strained, but
listen, that's just my preferences, okay? I'm being honest too. Like I said, I hate dragons. I actually hate dragons. They're so boring.
I mean, I too was. I've always been tired of the dragons of Heavensward, but the story is very good. Anyways, let's get on to the interview. Oh, that I didn't announce the end of recent events, but we ended that a long time ago. Oh, we didn't do this.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Now for some interviews. This interview was done on the day after FanFest.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this might be on the day of the second day at FanFest. This is by Game Watch, Japanese game news outlet. Translated on the Reddit, on the 14 subreddit. And if I can find the poster any moment now. I forgot how slow this iPad is. It's by Shinitan. Shinitan of the 14 subreddit. Right. Guess you're all really excited for when my iPad catches up.
Not allowed.
Okay, so the footage of the Crystarium town seemed to resemble an MMO tech demo that was shown at E3 in 2005. Is the Crystarium linked to the 1.0 remake somehow? Remake? I don't think it's a one. I think that was just a weird translation.
Okay.
Yoshi-P says, I didn't think people would notice this quickly, he says. And then he
instant Yoshi-P.
So this was the first day.
This is the first day. We'll talk about this in tomorrow's dev panel. So we already know this. Mm-hmm. The two guests there featured the world that you've been adventuring in since 2.0, and it'll be a fascinating session with a section. Okay, whatever. What will the dancer's main stat be? Yoshi-P says, isn't the range DPS probably Dex, since the gear is already compatible? So it's
really quickly.
Wait, huh?
Old aiming gear is going to look terrible on Dancer?
Yeah.
That's not going to look good at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just want to bring that up is all.
Uh-huh.
And how are you going to combine that gear set look?
Well, plus 10 points, who can make it work?
Yeah. The interior continues. That means we'll have 4 jobs using Dex. Have you considered moving, say, Ninja to another category? He says, please wait until mid-May for more information.
Ninja confirmed strength-based.
Yeah. But you haven't told us anything yet. And then he laughs, but he doesn't get Echo because he's not Yoshi-P. He says, as far as the battle system goes, I think it's difficult to understand a single change by itself. It's been 6 years since 2.0, and many systems are linked together, so changing one part affects others. If I explain just one change right now, it might result in misunderstandings. The May live letter will explain changes to the battle system, each job and each role. And of course, there will also be a media tour for the press to get hands-on experience with the changes. Interviews regarding that should wait until then. So the main live letter, that's where everything's going down. With Gunbreaker revealed as a tank, many players thought that a healer would be announced next. Why did you decide to make Dancer a ranged DPS? So this, I think we talked about this on a stream, either a stream or just on the Discord. It's not that we had no plans for a healer, but rather than making Dancer a healer for Final Fantasy XIV expansions, we prioritized the player's game experience. It was decided early on that we would add a new tank because MT and OT roles are poorly main tank and off-tank roles are poorly balanced when there are an odd number of tank jobs. Just for example, if you want to have 2 main tank jobs and 2 off-tank jobs, but we only have 3 tank jobs, then even if we make them capable of doing both, because of their advantages and disadvantages, it tends to lead into a 2-to-1 ratio. We felt that it would be easier to balance with 4 jobs. We also wanted to add the Gunblade as an iconic Final Fantasy weapon that would appeal to people who hadn't tried any online Final Fantasy yet. When we were deciding what the other role should be, the last remaining options were a 3rd range DPS or a 4th healer. However, we were still struggling with balancing the 3 existing healers, and Scholar was always dominant because of the fairy. Even if we rebalance them again for 5.0, and even if they also have the shield healer versus pure healer, what is the word? Dichotomy. We thought it would be better to solidify the balance between the 3 healers instead of trying to balance 4. By adding a 3rd range DPS, we could round out the number of jobs per role.
Man, pet classes were a mistake for this game.
They are struggling.
Fairy?
No.
He's right though. Like, healer identity between the 3 healers is
non-existent.
Not in a good place, especially compared to tanks, and especially not compared to DPS.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah,
hopefully they just figure something out with that for Shadowbringers. It'll
be interesting to see where they're going, because I believe it's Well, we'll know in mid-May, but probably. But it does sound that they're preparing to do a lot with the healers then, especially now that they're like feeling sort of the little backlash for not introducing a new healer. A lot of healers were very upset.
Healers on suicide watch.
Yeah.
Someone help them out.
Will Final Fantasy XIV's dancer be similar to 11's or something new? Yoshi-P says it's new.
Yes.
For ability names and effects and such. It's Final Fantasy XIV's style to sprinkle in elements from past Final Fantasy games, but while it may give the impression of past dancer jobs, Final Fantasy XIV's will be more of a unique experience that is similar yet dissimilar. For example, Samurai was the same way. We went from Final Fantasy XI's warrior-type Samurai to a Ronin-wearing casual kimono, and fleshed out the design and concept as such. Similarly, we want Final Fantasy XIV's dancer to be unique while also evoking nostalgia. So it's like a fusion of 11 and 14.
It's going to be a skill shot based class.
Could you imagine in this game? I missed my skill shot, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, the server takes
Oh, yeah.
My skill shot heal. I have to aim at you guys.
It looks like Dancer will have the same animations for both male and female. Did you consider differentiating them?
Who cares about that?
That is a question to ask.
I guess people are curious. Why
Yeah,
not?
why not?
Fine.
If we do that for one job, then people will tell us to do it for the other jobs too.
Exactly.
There were also memory concerns, because job actions have to stay in memory for instant playback. If we allocate extra space for animations because of a certain job, then all of the jobs will get allocated that extra space, even though they're not using it, and we absolutely cannot have that. The next question...
The next question.
I sincerely apologize. This is clearly a Japanese interview, but here we go.
I don't know.
I
This
cannot
could easily
believe
be Western.
I cannot believe. No, this is a Japanese game magazine. I'm just saying. I don't think. Okay, it's just.
Okay.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
I can't believe I'm reading this. Episode 136 of Speakers of Eidolon. Will male dancers also dance sexily?
Will male dancers also dance sexily? Important question. It's already answered, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
oh,
So that's the question everyone's asking themselves. Will male dancers also dance sexily? Yoshi-P says, gender is a difficult issue right now. And personally, I don't like the stereotype that dancing equates to sexiness. The reason why dancers dance is explained as part of the job quests and is part of the world folklore, and this reason doesn't differentiate between genders. The dance to encourage their allies and defeat their enemies, and the encouragement dances don't have anything to do with being sexy. Cannot believe you had to answer this. Dancers in real life have a long history behind them, and many of them come from gender stereotypes of how males and females should be. If we reference them too much, then the animations will lean too far one way or the other. So when I saw the first samples, I told them, don't do that. It's fine to use certain step elements, but if you adopt the movements themselves, then the gender distinction becomes too much. So it was difficult to work with. This is a difficult... I think that's supposed to be area, not era.
No,
era.
Is it a difficult era?
It's a difficult era.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of like the current climate of the world.
Oh, right, okay.
I
But it's a
can't
good
believe
answer.
Yoshi-P is that woke.
He's very
Guys,
He's very woke.
got him.
He's in the future right now.
Yeah.
He's
To when
woke.
things get even trickier. But it's a good way of also keeping, less work going into them.
Male
He
dancer
could have just said they have the same animations.
also
That
dance sexily.
So the answer is yes, by the way. They will.
They will. They
They
will.
will
Well, no.
absolutely. Your Rogadin will bust it out just for you.
And you can bust out while it's doing it.
Yeah.
Your Rothgar, those cheeks gonna clap.
They're gonna clap. Okay, moving on. Why did you ask Tetsuya Nomura to do the character designs for the new high-end raid, and what were the players' reaction? Yoshi-P says, first of all, I think Tetsuya San
Tetsuya now.
Tetsuya Nan He's a true at least he got to lay next to his nan. He's a true genius in his character designs and the setting and the worlds he comes up with. And the settings and the worlds he comes up with through those characters. As a fan, oh, that's the word I got stuck on. See, fan is under Sam. I tried to figure out why I said nan. As a fan, I feel ashamed that online Final Fantasies don't really have that essence. Since he's so busy, I wasn't sure how much he'd be able to do, but I made a quick request back when he drew as an illustration for Realm Reborn's 3rd anniversary. Last summer, I asked if he could design one of the key characters for a new raid, Eden, and he said, it'll be a very Tetsuya design. It's also going to push us to adjust our modeling in order to recreate it in 14.
You missed that line now, right?
What? Oh, yeah, you're right. And he said, it'll probably be okay. I'm having a stroke.
You need to make the text bigger or something. Zoom in on your fucking iPad, dude. Come on.
I'll just put it closer to me.
Okay.
I'll put it here. Okay. Last summer, I asked if he could design... That actually made it worse. Last summer, I asked if he could design one of the key characters for a new raid, Eden, and he said, it'll probably be okay. Although, it actually seemed to be quite a struggle. I don't know what's happening right now. But he came through for us, and not only is it a very Tetsuya design, it's also going to push us to adjust our modeling in order to recreate it in 14. The younger Final Fantasy fans are very familiar with Tetsuya-san's art, so I hope this will help them continue to enjoy Final Fantasy 14 as a Final Fantasy theme park. Tetsuya-san worked on 11 early on, but he hadn't done anything for 14 yet, so I begged him, and he gladly agreed. I think the monsters he's working on right now will also be incredible, but it will be a long time before I'll be able to see them.
It'll be a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. He has nice art.
Yeah.
Very spiky hair, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We haven't heard
stories as well.
Did you say that Tetsuya Nomura has nice stories?
Sorry. Ignore me.
Okay. We haven't heard anything about what kind of story Eden will be. Is it related to 5.0's story? She just says yes. Think of it as a raid that takes place in the first world, not the source. The raid is based upon a major problem that you'll be tackling in the first world. So far, we've gone through Bahamut, Alexander, and Omega, and this time we'll be returning to a very basic Final Fantasy element. A classic Final Fantasy style raid, if you will. Anyway, we're putting together the first set of floors, and we have some mechanics that will confuse and surprise you. They're so good that the devs were grinning with pride when they came to show me.
Oh, that's sweet. He's gonna put it on the fridge.
Yeah. Oh god. Will you be using some kind of new content to show the system where defeating Sin Eaters restores weather and nighttime? Ishida says, as you progress through the main story, you'll unlock areas and restore night to them. It'll be like there's light oppressing you from all sides, and the world of darkness paints over it with darkness. Since story progression differs by person, different players may see the same area in different ways.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
That's nice.
I thought they wouldn't be able to do that, honestly.
Yeah, that's nice. So that's like an extra reward for progressing. So that's nice. So it'll be an individual mechanic. Yoshida said yes, and it's linked to the MSQ. Will we be able to travel between the first world and the source? Yoshida says it's possible with the Warrior of Light's power of the Echo. It's an extremely convenient setup. But the Echo allows you to cross between dimensions and parallel worlds. During the World of Darkness arc in patch 3.4, the former Warriors of Light from the first would abandon their lives to come to the source. But there is a way to move without doing that, which will also be explained in the MSQ. You can think of it as something that amplifies the power of the Echo. Relax, your Warrior of Light won't be dying. Once you've been there, you'll be able to teleport. So that's that.
Well, I'm glad he's explaining it.
Yeah. Will teleporting cost Gil? Yoshida says, please think of it as maintenance cost for the teleport system. I'm sure there will be questions like, is my Gil valid currency in the first? And what happens to Allegan tombstones if there wasn't an Allegan empire? But Rowena isn't even there. But the setting will be written in a way that makes sense. Will there be tombstones that aren't Allegan? We hope our solution will impress you. The act of traveling to the first world and the source itself are both going to be connected to the gameplay experience. The development team made a big fuss asking what to do for this and that. For example, what are we going to do about the retainers?
Portals? I don't know.
I'd love it if their solution is just to remove the word Allegan.
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
That'll impress you.
Yeah.
No, actually, this is
very
a tome. This is just stones.
Yeah. Stones.
They use
Stones of creation.
Yeah.
They use stones in the first.
They'll just do like granite stone.
Marble.
Why were
I
you
kept on marble this week. Sorry.
Why were you so insistent on adding a beast-like race, the
So
Rothgar?
distant.
Yoshida says, the great thing about MMORPGs is that people from around the world with different values and tastes can all come together and play Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy games have good-looking men and women.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But Final Fantasy X is an example of a stronger look. Gin Saga may be a better example, but at any rate, since we're creating a fantasy, I have no idea what that is.
I'll look that up.
I want to... Yoshi, just don't drop random references like that, like Rollo would do. That's something Rollo would do.
Oh, this is an anime.
Oh.
Of course it is. Yeah.
But at any rate, since we're creating a fantasy, I want to shine a spotlight on that aspect as well. Even if we added another handsome race, it felt like the only real difference would be the air shape. Back when we showed off a basic sketch of a wolfman, a lot of players around the world voiced their desire for a wolf race in 4.0. At our current patch rate, with that much equipment data being released and adding a new race multiplying the amount of work required, we would probably only add one more race with our current workflow. We agonized over which race to add and ended up with what you see now, and the lion t-shirt I'm wearing now. And then he laughs. With the two new races, unique heads, we know this though. How will their headgear work? Yoshida says it won't be displayed, because those face parts wouldn't work in 14's system if headgear were involved. Even Viera ears would have had to be moved down to where Mikote ears are. It would have been meaningless if you couldn't go all out creating characters from these new races, so we decided that helmets wouldn't be necessary. You can equip them, but they won't be displayed. However, things that replace the head are okay, like the snowman head, fat chocobo head, etc. No glasses. Basically, the default is that it won't be shown. And the only things that replace the head are okay. We'll make things more compatible over time, bit by bit, but they won't be compatible at launch.
Yeah. Well,
So, we knew this, yeah.
Sure, roll it out, whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Are there NPC Vieras that can wear glasses? Yoshida says, even if they tried to make them, I think I would have stopped them. It leads to players complaining that the NPC can wear them, but they can't. I want to think of a way to reduce development costs for this eventually when the dev team isn't so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Here we go. When did you decide to implement the female-only Viera and male-only Rothgar? Yoshida says, it was during Return to Ivalice, around 3 months after 4.0. Viera was confirmed then, and Rothgar came about at the same time when we were discussing plans with Matsuno-san. We were deciding whether to make a Rothgar female or a Viera female, and after selecting Viera, work began right away, because otherwise we wouldn't make it in time. As mentioned before, the face parts are special, and Rothgar has big differences between its faces, like a lion face, wolf face, leopard face. It became a fixed model relatively recently. Viera was done right before Paris Fan Fest, and Rothgar was done recently. It's like what I thought, that like they were pressed for time. And they had to make, and they wanted to make two races, but they couldn't make both genders.
Yeah, I didn't even care about either of them really. It's the fact that they're not really actually in the lore.
Yeah.
There's no real lore for either of them.
Well, Viera has.
That's why.
Viera was
not
introduced.
really. Let's be honest. Yeah, but it's in a very forced way.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they're actually live on Hydaelyn either.
They're all the new races were forced.
Well, all new races have to be forced, right? Because
it's just gonna be like, oh,
in
where
a
do
year's
these
time,
mysterious
I'll be
people
okay
come
with
from?
it. But for now, I feel upset.
Rothgar though feels more
Rothgar
alien
especially. Where
to
the hell are
Eorzea.
they from?
Yeah.
They're probably from like. Well, I don't even know.
No. Because
Why do they look like
the
that?
Viera look like, because isn't the lore like we were Okay, I can't remember the lore of the Eorzean or the Hydaelinian races, but they all sort of look similar, at least the civilized ones. And then you have
Varys talk about it.
Well, he talked about the Übermensch. He went like all. He
was talking about how it should be as just humans, but
that we all sort of split out of one race and then developed differently. How the hell did Hrothgar came to be?
Sometimes there's a mistake.
Yeah.
You know.
How big are the Hrothgar and Viera? Vieras are taller than Rogadin, but are Hrothgar bigger too? She says, since the Hrothgar have hunched backs, it depends on your definition of bigger. If they stand up straight, I think they'd be taller than Rogadins. They're also more muscular than Rogadins, so they're well suited to armor and have a heroic look. Their appearances will also be completely different depending on how the players create them. We argue a lot over what the default settings in the character creator should be. Next question is, they seem relatively smooth for a beast race. Can we make them hairier? Yoshida says no, it's not possible without hardware and graphics engine improvements. If we added fur, it probably wouldn't run. Business Division 5 does have a fur engine, but once you put 3 together, it stops working. However,
I mean, I don't have a problem with the fur.
Yeah, I think it looks okay.
It's fair enough. However, if you do plan on using textures to make them look that way, I think you'll find that it works better than expected when you try it for yourself.
I want them hairier. I want them really sweaty.
Yeah.
Make them really
as long
sweaty?
as they don't do like bump mapping on them. Like when you move your camera around, it just looks awful.
Yeah. We learned the shocking truth that Lalafels, or rather dwarves, are considered a beast tribe in the First World. However, it was the Garlean Empire that defined the term beast tribe. Does the Garlean Empire exist in the First World? Yoshida says, if you think about it, the word beast tribe exists in Japanese too. Similarly, you can think of it as a standard vocabulary in the First World too.
Okay.
Used to refer to species that are less civilized than humans.
My God.
What did they talk about in the lore book, though? We read it out, remember?
Yeah. It's just the fact that he drew real Japanese in here. The Garlean Empire didn't designate them as a beast tribe. They just don't fit in with the rest of the First World. The lore book also goes into this. What's considered a beast tribe depends on the era and the politics at the time. For example, if the Garlean Empire had conquered the entire Source World, they may have designated all other races as beast tribes. That's true.
Apparently it translates to barbarian.
What?
That Japanese.
Barbarian.
Or I'm sure it could be read as beast tribe too. I don't know.
Right. Do dwarves say rally ho? Yoshida says.
Rally ho.
Let's not go there.
Oh, come on. Make him say rally ho.
Do the beast tribes in the First World summon primals? Do they even need them? She says, who knows? Since it's a split-off world, there's a high possibility that the phenomenon of summoning a primal by using a lot of ether and praying hard could occur in parallel worlds as well. Whether this relates to primals appearing in 5.0 is a different story. Okay. Do dwarves look the way they do because of historical dwarves? She says, yes. If the dwarves accept you as their ally, then perhaps one day you'll be able to wear the dwarf helmets as well.
I'm re-rolling.
I can become a dwarf.
If you do, then you'll look just like one of them. Earlier, I saw someone on social media mentioning how the white mage Lamini didn't wear a beard and what? Lamimi didn't wear a beard and helmet despite coming from the first. Oh, it's the Warrior of Darkness. Didn't wear a beard and helmet despite coming from the First World, and there is a reason for that too. Will the dwarves have beast tribe quests too? It's just as it's possible. The dwarves might also have factions which fight each other, although from our eyes it might look like a children's fight. You might see quests revolving around mediating between them.
They're gonna be the Namasee then.
Yeah. Does the MSQ change if you go to the dwarf's base as a Lalafell? Yoshida says, remember, you're not wearing a helmet or beard. They might think of you as a dwarf that's abandoned dwarven land laws. This is one of the interesting points about creating a new world in fantasy.
They're gonna just make fun of all the Lalafells, but you fucking naked babies?
Yeah.
Where the fuck is your beard?
Yeah.
What the? Shameful. Where's your lady beard?
Is that linked to why their houses are Lalafell-sized? Yoshida says, maybe not. Lalafells are popular around the world. In 4.0, when showed the Aura tribes living arrangements in the Azim Steppe, we had people wanting to see Mikote and Ellison homes as well. This time we went with Lalafells, or rather dwarfs, which we felt would have the most impact. The next question is, will it affect quest progression? Don't worry, it won't. Otherwise people would think we were ridiculously money hungry, telling people to buy Fantasias in order to do the MSQ. That he laughs. Will will the plump Mikote in the trailer be playable? Will we be seeing plump versions of other races? Yoshida laughs.
Wouldn't it be funny if they were plump?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny?
Yeah, that would be funny.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah. There are many different body types in the world, and before, we couldn't represent all of them due to cost. But now, we're starting to look into different body types for races, starting with the plump Mikote. You'll be seeing them in the MSQ, so please give us your honest feedback.
They're perfect.
If plump Mikote are real, I have to make
plump.
Rollo will be a plump.
Yeah. Okay.
Plumpy.
This is an important question. Please tell us about the scale of the first world. How big are the areas compared to the Stormblood areas? Yoshida says, it won't be less game content than Stormblood, perhaps a little bigger. The areas are fairly dense, and Norvrand is comparable to the 3 states of Eorzea. To put it simply, Norvrand is around the same size as what's called Eorzea in the source, and everything else has been taken over by light, resulting in an empty, pure white space taking up the rest of the world. You'll be able to experience this in the areas as well. We showed a map called Amarang in a previous keynote, which is where the light is being barely kept at bay. That area sounds like the Norvrand region in a circle, and everything outside is whiteness with no elements.
Okay.
So that explains Amarang, like with the crystal wall, like pushing the city-state, like that has to be like the light thing, just
a wave of light,
pushing, yeah.
That means Amarang's either going to be huge or we're only going to see part of it. Because it would have to encompass the
And
entire...
Amarang is clearly Ul'dah, then. Like Amarang is...
No.
Wouldn't it?
It circles around the entire thing.
Circles around the entire thing? Amarang goes around it?
Around Northrand.
Oh, is that what it's saying?
In a whole circle around it.
Amarang in a previous unit, which is where the light is being hit. The area surrounds the Norvrand region. Oh yeah, you're right. And everything outside is white.
So
how strange.
It's huge.
Pretty big area to see, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll show us the whole thing.
I'm still sort of wondering if Norvrand is still Aldenard and Vilbrand. Like, if it's the same land, it should be, right? Because it's literally the same. So
it should be similar enough.
We'd have like a desert around the edges of Aldenard, and that's Amarang.
I guess.
Don't we have the deserts there because of Calamity?
Yeah, it's one of the Calamity by Fire, because Sandlin used to be lush.
That's true.
Yeah, so that it could just not be that.
Yeah,
over there.
It could.
It could just be like a normal lush field, or just blanketed by whiteness.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I'm assuming at least, because we know that Yulmore is Limsa, and the Raktika Greatwood, it will surely be
the Shroud.
The Shroud. And possibly Gridania in there somewhere.
Crystarium and Ilmeg is Mordona.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if Ilmeg might be
Kurthus. Oh, sorry, Ilmeg's Kurthus. What's
Lakeland.
The Lakeland is Mordona, most likely, yeah.
Wouldn't know what? Actually, you're right. Lakeland could be Mordona, because I was going to say the Crystal Tower should. I would say that would be in the same spot no matter what.
Yeah.
So then the Crystarium would be, Mordona as well, just the city-state near it.
Also, I was thinking a while back about because we were talking about the Crystal Tower being on the first, but also on the source, and you should be like, the Crystal Tower wasn't even built when the shards were made, like when the world was split. But then remember how the civilization died, like what Crystal Tower did. It consumed an insane amount of ether, so much that the world like swallowed it. maybe because it's like a conductive tower, it might have just shattered through into the first.
Oh my god.
So a copy was just materialized. I don't know.
And they just built around it because it was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll know soon. Is the Eden illustration that white land then? He says, who knows?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that little sprout in the empty landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In previous expansions, you added different forms of travel, like flying and swimming. Does Shadowbringers not have anything like that? Yoshida says, not this time. Oh, no gimmick.
Off for that.
We're focusing on the game experience of repainting the world with darkness. Well, the only thing left that I can think of is zero gravity floating, so that can wait until we go to the moon. Although, if you were to ask me what makes that different from flying, I wouldn't have an answer for you. And yeah, it's not much different from being underwater. Instead of adding new forms of travel, I think I'd rather go in a different direction, like content where everyone is flying regardless of job. Huh?
Everyone is flying.
Oh.
Does he mean just like fighting in the air? Is that what he wants?
He wants dogfighting.
I don't know.
Not with dogs, I mean like planes.
Yeah. Is reforming the world the core component of Shadowbringers? Yoshida says everything is based in the MSQ, even the trust system. As usual, we want to expand Final Fantasy XIV by an entire new RPG's worth of content, this time with emphasis on the RPG part, as an immersive story that you can play by yourself, which is something that you don't really see in normal MMORPGs.
That's true.
Don't a lot of RPGs have trust or something like that? Is that not a common thing?
I don't know how common they are in other games, but
they're not common.
I think Guild Wars 1 had it
Guild Wars 1 did, but very late in the expansion when people were dropping off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Star Wars has it. SoTar, I think.
Right. Yeah. I don't
Just
know.
something I remembered.
It's interesting. It's interesting to see, because he's actually said quite a lot, but I think the whole expansion is probably just going to take place, at least the expansion story before the patches is just going to be the first.
Mm-hmm.
But it is,
and we'll set the scenes for
and maybe while we are away, we'll get the meanwhile on the source.
Oh my god, that will feel cool at that point. Yeah, that would feel really cool.
Meanwhile, Xenos killed everyone.
Dude, that's also a really clever way of making, because if you don't really have to go back to regular Heideland, well, you have to, like, for your FC house and stuff, I guess, but like you don't really hang out in the normal worlds. They can like play scenarios that like the world is descending into chaos without us really being taken out of it, because we don't really see those areas because we're always on the first. So I mean, I don't know what happens. I don't know what's going to happen to Heidelin in Shadowbringers, but it doesn't look good. Right now, it doesn't look so good.
No. That gas, not looking fun.
Ooh, Varus's face not looking good there in that cutscene. No, that means bad. Okay, we're actually.
You're still Garlemald.
Yeah, 6.0 is going to be Garlemald maybe, or the moon. Or the moon. Maybe we just never go to... What if we never go to Garlemald? It's just forever going to be that white area on the map.
You've cursed us.
Yeah. Well, we've actually run out of time, so we can't actually do the second interview right now. Because it's very long. Well, it's not that long. Should we go... Do you think we can squeeze it in? I mean, it doesn't matter if you go overtime for the post-show anyways, because it's not like we have a lot of shit lined up for it.
Yeah, whatever. Just cut into it.
Yeah, let's cut into it. Let's do the Mr. Happy interview as well, because it is really good. This has probably been covered by pretty much everyone already, but we'll go through it here.
Now it's our turn.
Our turn! This was, of course, done on Mr. Happy while he was in Japan. Many Western players were surprised when it was revealed that Hrothgar and Viera would not have both genders available, especially after the efforts the team went through to provide more options with Mikote and Rogadin in 2.0. Why did the team decide to do two different races with one gender each, instead of one race with both genders? Yoshida says, the timing of the game launch, the races needed to have each gender counterpart for A Realm Reborn. When I took over for A Realm Reborn, I wanted to fill the missing gender to make those races seem complete. So that's in line with what he said initially, like where he was to fix the mistake that was made in 1.0. What is different now compared to then? After multiple expansions, the situation isn't the same as when we released the base game. My answer will be quite long. The game has been launched for 6 years currently. It has tens of thousands of armors available. We have to make sure every race can use every outfit correctly. The more unique the appearance of the race, the more difficult these adjustments are to make. When we create one gear, we have to make adjustments so it fits all these different races. So when we add new races, we have to adjust how to approach this process. The development cost for making a new race is very intense because of how much work we put into the graphics of the game. We also have to make sure these things all work properly. That's why we're saying these might be the last races because of how taxing it is on the development team. We wanted to give players options and freedom to choose more races. We envisioned adding a new race, but people really wanted the Viera to play in-game. So, it's our fault. So if we add another race that isn't Viera, people might wonder why we didn't do Viera. And so we had to add them for sure. It's our fault.
I'm not taking the blame for this. He decided to split the work for something.
It's our fault. It's our fault.
That's his fault.
We had a big discussion back when we added Aura in Heavensward about whether to add Aura or Viera. We knew we only had female Viera for reference, so we had no idea what to do for the male variant. We would have to use our own imagination for that. There was fear about how we would approach that. Perhaps an Ellison body with a Mikote face and bunny ears. Would this be the right way to add this race to the game? When we create a fantasy game, especially for Final Fantasy XIV, we have a good variety of races. We don't really need any more cute or sweet-looking characters because we have so many as it is. Especially for Final Fantasy XIV, we have many symbols of power or strength, such as Highlander and Rogadon. We wanted something more animal-like. It's not that we wanted to create a Wild West of characters, but we do need a good variety. So the simple answer is, Viera was sought after, so we had to add those. To expand the game and its options, we also wanted to add Hrothgar.
I don't know.
As a follow-up, is the team considering adding another gender for these two races in future expansions? Yoshi-P says, short answer is we haven't made a decision on that. The reason why we can't say for sure. We need to optimize our workflow with the existing races and the new ones. After that, perhaps we do the other gender, but we don't know right now. We did consider a male Viera instead of adding an extra race, but we tried to take player feedback on adding a more beast-like race as well as the strong desire to receive Viera. We did expect strong feedback on the gender lock. It was a tough decision, but we decided to do our best to meet both the player feedback and our development team's vision. It'll be very costly to add new race or genders, so I won't say no, but I would not like to set expectations high. We haven't had time to look at all the feedback since this is our first day back in the office after the Tokyo Fan Festival. What was the general feedback from NA based on your experience? Were they upset about no male Viera, no female Hrothgar, or both? Oh, yeah, asks Mr. Happy. Happy says, it's been a heated topic. Some players are okay, while many players are upset about the gender locking. Many are disappointed about no male Viera, but with the female Hrothgar, I've seen some people be even more upset. This is because in the first shard, they're called Ronso, and in Final Fantasy X, there are plenty of female Ronso. Yoshida says, thank you for the insight. Currently, we're putting together all the feedback. Depending on the feedback, we're considering an official statement on the forums. Oh, wow.
I think at this point it's a fair bet that in the next expansion they will just fill the gaps.
Yeah,
it's not a guarantee, but it's an okay plan. You know, I mean,
even
likely.
Even kind of with his initial defense that he looked at A Realm Reborn's races and he filled in what he called the gaps.
Yeah,
it's sort of, he sort of made another gap.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I don't get this. He's saying it's too much work. So we decided to split that work to make two incomplete feeling things.
But he's also worried about putting in Male Viera because there's no reference material.
He said that when he was saying, should we do that or all raw? So then, he would rather just come up with a completely make a new design than.
I think he wanted to put Hrothgar in the game, but felt he had to put Viera as well.
Well, if you're going to use the argument that there's no data on male Viera, there's plenty of data from female Hrothgar or Ronso in 10.
That's true.
So why were they not added? And they almost
there's no data now raw. He had to make that up himself.
Right, that's a brand new race.
That's even more work.
Yeah. So,
at least you have the female gender to base the males off of.
Wow.
These are terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This doesn't make me more confident in his decisions.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds like they're at least very open now, and I'm assuming all the feedback they're getting is basically going to be, you've made a mistake. As someone who initially I couldn't even believe that they would do such a thing. I didn't. When it was announced, I was over it, kind of, but it was just kind of weird to like get the confirmation. And now reading his answer, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Sorry, Ruby.
I don't know. But again,
also,
we have to point out that they wanted to make Hrothgar first, but then they were like, the player base really wants this Viera thing. So I guess.
I mean, you're gonna put Viera in the story and not add them. That's kind of.
I mean, don't you think?
What did you expect?
What if almost got a feeling that they added Viera, like added Fran to the last part just because they didn't like make custom Evilesian Moogles. They made custom faceplates for the face stuff for Ramsa and Alma, but the Viera didn't show up until the very last quest after we had screamed for a year to put her in there. So it might have been something they did afterwards. They're like, okay, you know what? Let's just put the fucking Viera in there. Let's do it.
It's just weird though. It's like, okay, hey, we got the 12 guy. We have Matsuno here. This is a big 12 theme thing.
Yeah,
we're gonna add a 10 race instead. Actually, like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's weird. I get them wanting to make it, but yeah, I don't know what they expected going into Stormblood making a big 12 themed raid.
Vianga.
They should have just done it.
Yeah, they should have just done it. Okay. Okay, next question is about Dancer. The reveal that Dancer was a ranged DPS caught a lot of players by surprise as well. Why did the team decide to add another DPS to the game as opposed to a new healer? Yoshida says, out of curiosity, why was the community generally expecting it to be a healer? Happy says, mostly because we really expected it to be both a tank and a healer for the expansion. Yoshida says, simply, we only had 2 ranged physical DPS, so we wanted to add another. We have 4 tanks and 4 melee DPS, 3 casters and 3 healers, and yet there were only 2 ranged DPS. We wanted to balance the number of jobs across the board. We also really wanted to add another tank to balance the tanks more. With 4 tanks, we can better balance the tank role, with 2 main tanks and 2 off tanks. When players decide which role or job to play, even a small difference in abilities and attributes make a big difference. People like to take Paladin as an off tank thanks to abilities like Cover, so the Warrior and Dark Knight are fighting for the main tank spot most commonly. So hypothetically speaking, if we rebalance things and put warriors as main tanks, then the Paladin and Dark Knight would be fighting for off tank. No matter what, we really needed to balance this with 2 and 2. It's much more fair this way. So it's 2 jobs between main tank and 2 between off tank. This is very tentative, so please convey this. This is no indication at all of our final plans. So yeah, that was sort of said in the previous interview as well, where with the tank thing. But when looking at the history of healing jobs, making strong balance between 3 jobs has been tough. It has been tough. With 3 Again, with 3 it's been tough, so with a 4th, the balance might get even worse. Instead of doing this, we want to prioritize balancing them better with this expansion. So we didn't want to add a new healer at 4.0 or 5.0. We really think we need to restructure the way healers are handled, so we can keep the strict division between pure healer and barrier healer. Something needs to change here, so we can maintain good balance. That's the main reason we didn't have a healer. First priority was to add a 3rd ranged, then a 4th tank, while we balance the healers better. We need to maybe change the way to present new jobs at fan festivals, perhaps reveal the roles list and then reveal the job later to subvert expectations.
You don't need to do that. We just need to stop being so greedy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it doesn't
really
matter if if they just say that, okay, this expansion you're going to get a healer and a tank, we would be like, okay, now we can speculate. Because people are going to get... I mean, it's a good idea, but also, why... We have to stop whining about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's that big of an issue in the first place.
No.
But I am glad he's saying that healers do need attention.
Yeah,
in their class,
which they do. So why would
they do?
Why would adding in something else that makes it harder to balance than help? It wouldn't.
Yeah.
So
I hope healers get a nice big change.
Yeah.
They need it.
They do.
Everything's getting better for you healers, probably.
Yeah.
Or
This
maybe worse, I don't know.
might be our expansion. They definitely need to fix the balance. Stormblood, they tried some weird stuff. Didn't quite work, did it? Next question. Eden was revealed as the new high-end raid in Shadowbringers. Normally high-end raids aren't involved with the main scenario quest, but Eden looks as if it's very important when it comes to restoring balance to the first. Can you say if Eden has more relation to the main scenario quest than the previous raids? Yoshida says, that's a spoiler question. I can't answer that now, or players would be upset that I spoiled the story. We have experienced the concerns and curiosity with the story here. I won't comment on how closely involved it is with the main scenario quest, but if we ever did make the raids directly part of the main scenario, we luckily have the normal difficulty so players could complete it without much concern. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, look at Shinryu, easy fighting people.
Yeah. They never nerfed it though. So
good.
Kudos for that.
Yeah.
The Eureka series in Stormblood has received a lot of feedback from various players around the world. The Baldesion Arsenal in particular has been the focus of a lot of players' feedback in the most recent iteration. With the confirmation of a new expansion content in Shadowbringers, what changes might we expect for the way public dungeons are handled? Yoshida says, of course, we will make adjustments. We can't touch upon the exact changes this far away, but we are taking feedback on the Baldesion Arsenal and using that. There are 2 big reasons why we won't say anything concrete. 1, we are getting a large variety of feedback, and 2, the feedback is very different depending on the region of the world. We need to be very careful and review the feedback in greater detail. Interesting. They're getting a lot of feedback, so... He's also sort of confirming that we are we would expect that, another public dungeon in the next Eureka.
That's true.
Mr. Happy says, Eureka has also brought with it a change to the way we obtain powerful weapons similar to the Zodiac weapon. Instead of running older content, you created something brand new. Has the team considered which approach they will take with a similar weapon in Shadowbringers? Will the weapon again be obtained in exploration content, or will you include ways to complete older content to progress as well?
Oh god, options?
Yoshida says the options here are very split. Some players like or are okay with Eureka, and some players prefer the Anima or Zodiac weapons. So the way we allow players to enhance a weapon in the expansion is still undecided. The development team was bored with how the Zodiac and Anima weapons were enhanced, so they wanted to do something different, which is why we did Eureka. We were surprised many players actually liked that old system, so we are torn.
What if I hate both?
Well, then it's not.
What if I think they're both terrible?
Then go away, Rollo.
People can do the old system later on if they want. Good luck doing Eureka in the next expansion.
Yeah. The release date for the Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XV collaboration event was revealed yesterday, and when this interview was conducted, and players noticed it has a limited time. How does the team decide which collaborations are limited and which ones are permanent? Yoshida says, this is decided based on the type of content we're making for the event itself. For Garo, it was simply structure-wise. We just integrated it into PvP. For the Monster Hunter one, the content can be a lot more challenging, so players need more time to clear. For the Final Fantasy XV collaboration, it's catered to an easier difficulty, so it doesn't need to be permanent. Luckily, with limited time events, we can always turn them back on if we really need or want to, so we don't consider how long it takes.
So
They just don't want you to get that 4-car mount really easily. They don't want you to get that all forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't get it this time, they want to charge you like $60 for it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll bring it back one day, but they'll say the car that was just last year.
Yeah.
You can't get it this year.
Yeah.
You go to the Mog station, pay the $40 for the car.
Okay. Next question. What has the general feedback been for Blue Mage and their concept of limited jobs? Has feedback led the team to strive to make any changes towards their approach on how to implement this kind of content? Yoshida says, for the Blue Mage, it is still only available at an entry level. It's quite easy to level and only basic content for it is available. We will eventually increase the level cap for it and release new content for it. When we increase the cap, we will still have some more content, some of which is much more hardcore. This will release sometime after Shadowbringers releases. We want to see how players respond to these new contents. Until we reach that point, we don't want to talk much about future limited jobs. We need to see player feedback after more Blue Mage content is available.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically the end of it. The rest is kissy. Right.
Kissy.
That was a good interview, and we got a lot of questions answered.
Yeah.
So both these interviews were great. Game Watch and the Mr. Happy interview. Yoshi-P is always very open in interviews. I'll give him that. He always reveals
Sometimes
a lot.
he is.
Well, except for the times when he's like giving us like just like empty answers, like words.
The run around.
Yeah.
Or he'll answer something else like different.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the post FanFest interviews done. We can. Well, then what's the next live letter? That's in mid-May, right? Mid-May.
Mid-May.
Does anything happen in April? Oh,
15 event.
15 event and 4.57? Or is that also mid-May? I can't remember.
Event at least.
Yeah, we'll get
There was the
15th.
slide from the panel, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Easter event too.
What?
Easter event.
Oh, the Easter event. Oh god, I can't wait for it because that outfit.
Looks nice.
Looks
Big
very
spoilers,
nice.
but
big spoilers.
nice
But trust us, the Easter event is gonna have a nice reward. Okay. Oh, the Make It Rain event is also happening. Probably that's probably more like June, but it's because it's like during summer. I believe it's like a summer event technically. It's like right before Moonfire Fair.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you guys for watching. That's the end of the show. Remember to follow us on Twitter at SpeakersXIV, twitch.tv/SpeakersFile, and youtube.com/SpeakersXIV.
you can do it.
And !Discord if you want to join our Discord server. If you're watching on demand, link is in the description. Send us mogmail, speakersxiv.com/mogmail. Remember to stay tuned for the post show. For no reason, because I don't know what's happening there, but we'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.
Next week we'll read Mogmail for sure.